That day, Hayato and his friends along with Karen went on a trip to the beach. Sakura approached Hayato and asked about Karen's swimsuit. Hayato said it looked great on her. Miharu and Sakura had picked it out for her the day before. Hayato then apologized to Miharu for troubling her, but Miharu was actually happy because she was invited on the trip as well. Hayato couldn't help but be mesmerized by Miharu's attractiveness. Seeing Hayato staring at Miharu, Sakura immediately clung to him. Emil, annoyed by this, told Sakura to get away from Hayato. However, Sakura just teased her and tossed a box at her. Then she grabbed Hayato's hand and pulled him toward the beach to play in the water together. Emil was irritated as she watched how close Hayato and Sakura were. She thought that if only she had worn a bikini like the others, things might have been different. Claire then commented to Emil that Hayato and Sakura seemed to be having fun and that it was a shame Emil couldn't join them in the water. She also told Emil to just relax and not be shy. Emil accused Claire of deliberately flaunting her chest in front of Hayato. Claire instinctively covered her chest and told Emil to stop making things up. Lady then scolded Emil, telling her to be more respectful toward Claire. Meanwhile, Miharu and Karen were dipping their feet in the water, while Reiichia was playfully messing with Fritz. They all seemed to be having a great time together. Sakura asked Hayato if it was time to eat, mentioning that she had brought a homemade meal. She then eagerly prepared the food she had brought. Emil, watching Sakura cling to Hayato, said she was sick of seeing how Sakura acted around him. She even suspected that Sakura had joined Little Garden just to get close to Hayato. To Emil's surprise, Sakura admitted it outright. She even declared that when she wasn't performing on stage, she was Hayato's personal idol. Emil, even more annoyed, said she wouldn't accept that. Sakura then asked if Emil was really just Hayato's friend. Emil assumed that Sakura had figured out she was actually a girl, but to her surprise, Sakura thought Emil was a boy who had a thing for other guys. Sakura then mentioned that there were rumors going around about Hayato and Emil being an item, and that people were saying they were often seen kissing, even though they were both guys. Emil quickly retorted, saying that she and Hayato had been together since their time in Gutenberg and that they were childhood friends. Sakura then said she was the same. Emil countered, pointing out that Sakura had only spent one day with Hayato. Offended, Sakura argued that even if it was just for one day, Hayato was still her childhood friend. Hearing their argument, Karen suddenly spoke up, saying that since she had been with Hayato since birth, that made her the closest childhood friend. In the end, they all enjoyed the meal together. Hayato thanked Sakura, and Sakura asked if he liked the food. Karen said it was delicious, but Emil only called it decent. Reiichia and Fritz then invited Hayato and the others to play beach volleyball. Hayato and Emil agreed to take on Reiichia and Fritz in a match. Sakura cheered for Hayato loudly. Reiichia served the ball with incredible speed, making it impossible to catch. Emil then asked if it was okay to use energy during the game. Reiichia said there was no problem with that. Emil then prepared to use her energy. At that point, the match no longer looked like a game of volleyball, but rather a battle of strength between them. Meanwhile, Erika suddenly approached Claire and asked for permission to apply sunscreen to the front of her body. However, Lady quickly grabbed the sunscreen and said she wanted to do it instead. They both started applying sunscreen to Claire's thighs, then began arguing over who got to apply it to her front. Seeing their commotion, Claire decided she didn't want either of them applying sunscreen on her. Back in the game, Reiichia sent a powerful shot that knocked Emil down. The ball continued flying at an incredible speed, heading straight for Claire. Hayato jumped to catch it, but instead he crashed into Claire and his face landed directly on her chest. Emil ran over, surprised, and asked what exactly Hayato was doing. Suddenly, a helicopter landed on the beach bearing the emblem of Warslorn Incorporated. It turned out that the helicopter was carrying Judal, Claire's older brother and the CEO of Warslorn. Judal greeted Claire and mentioned that her swimsuit suited her very well. Claire told him there was no need for flattery and asked what business had brought him here in such a flashy manner. Judal said he couldn't wait to see Claire and meet the future brave soldiers of Warslorn. Judal immediately recognized Hayato, mentioning that Hayato's compatibility score had already exceeded Claire's even before joining Little Garden. He called Hayato the hope of Little Garden and the one who possessed the blood of a god. Judal also recognized Emil and commented that the others also held great potential. Then Judal invited Claire to return to Little Garden with him on the helicopter. Claire suspected something was off but told everyone not to worry about her. The next day, back at Little Garden, Emil and Hayato were together. Emil admitted that she was curious about what Judal's real reason for coming was. Suddenly, their phones rang. Claire had sent them a message. summoning them to the student council room immediately. In the student council room, Claire explained an upcoming operation to eradicate the savage. She stated that this mission was a joint operation under the United Nations, also referred to as the Peacekeeping Force. Erika mentioned that Little Garden would send selected members to the field. Fritz then asked why he and Reitia had been called. Claire announced that Fritz and Reitia had officially been chosen for the selection and would participate in the operation. Reitia was shocked. She hadn't expected that she and Fritz would make it. Overjoyed, she even started jumping around excitedly as she walked through the hallway. As everyone else left, Hayato was suddenly summoned by Judal. Hayato asked if Judal needed something from him. Judal requested that Hayato take some time to talk with him. Hayato couldn't refuse. Meanwhile, Emil noticed that Hayato was no longer behind her. Judal then asked Hayato if he knew the real power source of Little Garden. Hayato answered that it was a nuclear fusion reactor, but Judal said that was only the exterior explanation. He then invited Hayato to another location, revealing that Little Garden required a massive amount of energy for all its research and nuclear fusion alone wasn't enough. Judal finally revealed the true energy source powering Little Garden. They entered a secret room where a girl was sleeping, like a princess from a fairy tale. Judal introduced her as Lisa, the core energy source of Little Garden and its supreme leader. Lisa was a slayer as well as the first artificial variant ever created. Her full name was Harvey Lisa, which meant she was Judal and Claire's younger sister. Suddenly, Claire burst into the room, pointing a gun at Judal. She demanded to know why Judal had brought Hayato there. Judal simply responded by questioning why Claire would point a dangerous weapon at her own older brother. He even joked that if Lisa saw her, she would be shocked to see her tomboyish older sister. Claire, frustrated, demanded a proper answer. Judal explained that Hayato was the future, the one who would become the greatest slayer in Warslarn. However, there was something in Little Garden that had to be protected, something powerful enough to maintain the balance of the world, and Hayato needed to know about it. Claire immediately fired a shot, angrily telling Judal not to refer to her younger sister as if she were an object. Judal quickly apologized, and then admitted that there was another reason he had brought Hayato here. Judal revealed that Hayato possessed the blood of a god, and suggested that perhaps he could awaken Lisa. Claire was confused by Judal's words. Judal then dramatically declared that it was time for the sleeping princess to wake up and told Hayato to kiss Lisa to wake her. Hayato was utterly shocked. Claire pointed her gun at Judal again, warning him to stop saying such nonsense. Judal laughed, saying he was just joking, that a kiss was simply the last resort. Judal said that for now, Hayato needed to touch the capsule and release his energy. He then asked Hayato to give it a try. Hayato glanced at Claire, and she gave him a wink, signaling her approval. Hayato placed his hand on the capsule and a red light began to glow. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to wake her up. Judal realized he had been too hasty and mentioned that as long as Vitaly was alive, she would definitely target Lisa. He revealed that there was a history between him and Vitaly and that she had to be captured. That was why he wanted to discuss things with his subordinate, the Hunter. Judal then ended the conversation just as Claire was about to say something to him. Instead, he told her to have a discussion with Hayato in front of Lisa. Claire asked why she needed to do that, and Judal explained that if a talented slayer became the heir to the Harvey family, he would gladly accept it. Claire was irritated by Judal's words and wondered what he meant by that. Judal laughed, saying he was just joking, but Claire's reaction made it even more amusing. With that, Judal left them alone. Hayato remained silent. Claire asked why he wasn't asking her anything. Hayato responded that Claire's face showed she wasn't in the mood to be questioned. Claire told him that she would explain everything when the time was right. She also ordered him to forget everything he had seen and act as if none of it had ever happened. Hayato obeyed her command. Later, Claire gathered her team to carry out a mission. She displayed a map showing an area near Tian Quan City in the Kingdom of Qin, where an estimated 50 Savage were located. Erika mentioned that their shelter barracks in Tian Quan City happened to be Shumei's hometown, so if they needed guidance, Shumei could lead them. Claire warned that there was a possibility that the hunter they had encountered before would appear again during the mission. Lidi added that the reason they had all been chosen for this mission was that they had previously fought against those hunters. Since they already knew their enemies, handling them would be easier. This was Judal's suggestion. Emil then asked if that meant Lisa wasn't the one who selected the members for this mission. Erika explained that Judal was the one who recommended this savage extermination operation to the United Nations. The team quickly prepared for the mission. Reitia was still nervous about it, but Fritz tried to calm her down, reminding her that the mission would take place the next day. They followed Erika's lead as they walked. Suddenly, someone started calling out to Emil by the name Emilia. The girl suddenly rushed forward, tackling Emil into a hug. She excitedly said how much she had missed her. Emil, confused, told the girl that she must have mistaken her for someone else. However, the girl insisted that even though Emil was dressed as a boy, she still recognized her. She even called Emil Your Highness. Emil quickly covered her mouth. Hayato, now even more curious, asked what the girl meant by Your Highness. The girl then turned to Hayato and asked who he was. Hayato simply introduced himself as Emil's classmate. Emil then asked the girl to introduce herself to Hayato properly. The girl introduced herself as Claudia from Gutenberg, part of the Britannian Federation and a member of the Britannian Slayer Alliance. She was also Emil's childhood friend. After saying that, Claudia spat to the side, completely ignoring Hayato's extended hand for a handshake. Claudia then urged Emil to return to Gutenberg, saying that everyone had been waiting for her, the hidden princess. Hayato, even more intrigued, asked what she meant by hidden princess. Emil finally admitted that she had kept her real name a secret for 10 years. Her real name was Emilia Gutenberg, meaning she was a princess of the Gutenberg kingdom. Hayato was shocked to learn that Emil was actually royalty. Emil apologized for keeping it a secret. Though she was a third-generation princess, it was still a significant revelation. Claudia insisted that Emil return to Gutenberg after the mission was complete. However, Emil refused, saying she had already decided not to go back. Claudia expressed how lonely she had been without Emil all this time. She then hugged Emil tightly and confessed that she loved her deeply, pleading with Emil to come home for her sake. And Emil immediately let go of Claudia and quickly wrapped her arms around Hayato, declaring that she loved him far more than Claudia did, which was why she would never return to Gutenberg. Claudia, upon hearing this, concluded that it was all Hayato's fault. Frustrated, she challenged Hayato to a duel with Emil as the prize. They quickly prepared for the duel in the dojo. Claudia laid out the terms. If she won, Emil would return to Gutenberg, but if Hayato emerged victorious, Emil would remain in Little Garden. Hayato pointed out that he and Emil had a mission tomorrow and that he didn't even know who owned the dojo. However, Shumei's younger sister assured him that Shumei had already explained this situation and that the dojo belonged to her family. Emil cheered Hayato on, encouraging him to win for her sake. Claudia explained that the match would be a single round and the first to land a hit would be the winner. Neither 100 nor energy sense could be used. Hayato chose to fight with the shine, while Claudia opted for a flail. She scoffed at Hayato's choice of weapon, underestimating him. Claudia spun her flail and attacked first, but Hayato easily deflected the strike. Claudia smirked and said that was just the beginning. She turned to Emil and announced that she would crush Hayato, but was infuriated when Emil simply commented on how cool Hayato looked. Frustrated, Claudia sped up her flail's rotation and tried to land a hit, but Hayato swiftly dodged her attacks. She closed in and accused Hayato of being a playboy before swinging her flail at full force. Hayato remained focused, waiting for the right moment. As the flail came at him, he skillfully severed the chain with his shine, then struck the iron ball, sending it flying straight into Claudia's head. The match was over. Just as Hayato was about to check on Claudia, Emil suddenly hugged him and showered him with praise. Claudia got back on her feet and insisted that it had only been practice. She demanded a rematch, this time with a best-of-3 format. Emil immediately refused. Claudia then suggested a 5-point system, but Emil rejected that as well. Nearly on the verge of tears, Claudia suggested they switch to a different type of duel. Hearing this, Hayato gently tried to convince Emil to visit Gutenberg, even if just for a little while. However, Emil refused outright, telling Claudia not to dream of taking her back. Claudia, now yelling, declared that she would never give up. Tears welled in her eyes as she turned and ran away. That night, Hayato and Emil took a walk together. Hayato still couldn't believe that Emil was actually a princess. Meanwhile, Emil, feeling hungry, excitedly said she wanted to buy some fried Xiao Longbao. However, neither of them noticed that a male hunter, Crovan, who had previously appeared in Zui, had spotted them and was watching from a distance.